It was the fall of 2016, during the height of the clown sighting craze. I was in middle school then, and our town wasn't the type of place where weird things usually happened. That's why the day still sticks out so vividly in my memory. It was an ordinary afternoon, the kind of day where you just wait for the final bell. Our classroom faced the back field, which stretched out to a row of trees. I was sitting near the window, doodling on my notebook, when something moved outside that caught my eye. At first, I thought it was just another student heading toward the track. But when I looked closer, my stomach dropped. There was a clown standing at the edge of the field. His outfit looked old and dirty, a patchwork of red and blue fabric that sagged like it didn't quite fit. His face was painted white, with messy black circles around the eyes and a crooked red smile that stretched too far. He wasn't moving, just staring directly at our classroom. I nudged the girl sitting next to me, and soon half the class was craning their necks to see. A ripple of uneasy laughter spread, but nobody really thought it was funny. Our teacher, Mr. Alvarez, went over to the window. He tapped the glass firmly and said, "This isn't funny. Leave." But the clown didn't leave. Instead, he raised his hand and waved slowly, like he was greeting old friends. The wave didn't stop. He just kept it up, side to side, with that horrible painted grin fixed on his face. Mr. Alvarez immediately shut the blinds and told us all to focus on our work, but his voice was tense. Minutes later, the intercom crackled, and the principal's voice instructed all classrooms to enter lockdown mode. The lights went off, the doors locked, and we ducked under our desks. The room was silent, except for the sound of breathing and the faint squeak of sneakers as someone shifted nervously. I kept imagining that clown outside, waiting for us, listening for us. Every creak of the building felt like footsteps. We stayed hidden for almost half an hour before the all clear was given. The clown was gone, or at least that's what the staff told us. But the day didn't end there. When school finally let out, I walked home with a couple of friends. As we passed the row of trees behind the field, I felt something prickling on the back of my neck. I turned to look, and sure enough, there he was again. The same clown. This time, he was crouched low between the trees, almost blending in with the shadows. He wasn't waving anymore. He was pointing, his long gloved finger aimed directly at us. We didn't stick around to see what happened next. We bolted the rest of the way home, hearts pounding, too terrified to even talk until we reached the safety of our street. To this day, nobody knows who that clown was or what he wanted. But I'll never forget that final image. The silence of the woods, his painted face half hidden, and that single, deliberate gesture, like he was marking us. I live on the outskirts of Philadelphia with my son and my stepdaughter. She's not mine by blood. I took her in after my best friend, Joanne, was murdered in 2016. Her husband did it. He didn't just kill her, he made national headlines. Turned out he was behind 5 other murders. He's now serving 3 consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. Fast forward to 2020. I'm a middle school teacher, working at the same school my kids attend. My son's a year below the grade I teach, and my stepdaughter is just 1 grade above. We're all in the same building, a remote school surrounded by nothing but stretches of road and trees. The nearest gas station is 2 miles away. The next school, 10. It was March 30th, a hot Monday. I was in the middle of teaching a math lesson when I got a notification on my phone. Someone had arrived to pick up my stepdaughter. That shouldn't have been possible. She had no appointments, no family nearby, and the system only sends that kind of alert to listed emergency contacts. My heart skipped. I checked the notification again. It said the person trying to pick her up was her biological father. That was impossible. The school had no records of him. I replied immediately, saying no one within a 10-mile radius had permission to pick her up. The woman on the phone went quiet, said she'd call the principal, but something didn't sit right. I trusted my gut. I called her classroom directly and asked the teacher to send her to my room. She walked in a few minutes later, safe, confused, but safe. And then the lockdown alarm blared. I immediately pushed desks against the door, had the students block the windows, and moved everyone into the far corner of the room. I already knew who this was about. For 46 minutes, we sat there in silence. I could feel the weight of the air in the room. My stepdaughter stared at me, and I could see she understood, even if she didn't say a word. When the lockdown was lifted almost 2 hours later, police escorted me from the classroom. They needed answers. I explained everything. Joanne, the adoption, the man in prison. That's when they told me how he got out. A prison bus transferring inmates was rammed by a vehicle intentionally. 10 inmates died on impact. 2 guards were knocked unconscious, and 20 prisoners escaped. They had already dispatched officers to my home, assuming he might show up there, but he never did. When they heard the school had gone into lockdown, they knew. He had come for her. We were lucky, incredibly lucky. If I hadn't acted when I did, if I hadn't made that call, I don't know what would have happened. And that's what haunts me most.